Hello, friends. Gregg Braden here. You know, it's no secret that you and I are being pushed into a world where we're being asked to accept more technology into our lives, certainly. But for the first time, this movement is going even further. We're being asked, indoctrinated, coerced to accept that technology into our own body. We're being told that the technology in our bodies will help us to feel safer in the world, that it will make life easier for us. What we're not being told is the very steep price that we pay when we exchange our own biology for technology, computer chips in the brain, chemicals in the blood, RFID chips under the skin, nanosensors in the body, artificial intelligence, not just in our everyday lives, but in our decision-making processes, in our creative endeavors, our imagination, creativity, innovation. There is a very steep cost, and it's documented in the mainstream peer-reviewed scientific literature. It's just not being shared in mainstream news and education sources. That's what I want to talk to you about right now. You know, the best minds of our time are now telling us that we are absolutely not what we've been told, and we are so much more than we've been led to believe. And the reason that scientists have arrived at this conclusion is because they're beginning to look at the human body from a very different perspective. You and I grew up in a world where we think about biology in terms of soft, sticky, gooey, wet, mushy stuff moving around inside the cells, and that form of biology is useful for some applications. But the new science is looking at you and me and our bodies from an IT perspective, information technology. And what they found is that the 50 trillion cells in our bodies are actually electrical circuits, not a metaphor like circuits, literally circuits that have an input and an output, and the components in our cells function as transistors and resistors and capacitors that we emit photons of light. Light is information. Light is energy. We receive those photons of light and information. That every cell in the body stores and retrieves information just like we do on a computer chip, and that our DNA actually stores information in what is called blockchain technology. The technology that is remaking the decentralized finance of the world is actually derived. It's copied. It mimics the way we store information in our own DNA, and it goes on and on and on. But here's the beauty of understanding that we are this soft technology. We're not the hard technology of primitive computer chips on silicon wafers and physical wire, chemicals that have to connect. No, we're more than that. We are neurons. We are cell membranes. We are ion potentials moving across cell walls. And we have the ability, we're the only form of life that has the ability to self-regulate this extraordinary potential in our bodies and apply it to really beautiful, useful things like creating a strong, powerful immune system at will, on demand, when you choose. Like awakening your longevity enzymes that live in every one of your cells at will, on demand, when you choose. Like creating resilience to change in life, super memory, super learning, super cognition, and much, much more. We're the only form of life with the ability to self-regulate this extraordinary potential. And where this gets really, really interesting is that the techniques to awaken these potentials in our own bodies parallel the techniques that were preserved in our most ancient and cherished indigenous and spiritual traditions. Now, I'm not saying our ancestors were scientists, but they sure understood our relationship to our own bodies and to the world around us. Science within the last 300 years now is struggling to document those relationships in ways that make sense, that can be replicated. Well, I've created a one-day program to help us to do just that. One day condensing all of this information that I have gleaned in over 40 years of my experience of teaching this kind of information in the world. This is the 40th year. I began 1986. This is 2026. 1986, I began sharing the information that I had found from my experiences in the high Andes of southern Peru, with the Bedouins in the deserts of Egypt, on the Tibetan plateau with the monks and the nuns and the abbots, all through the American desert Southwest with our indigenous friends, and so much more. And as different as they are from one another, there are common themes. Those common themes are what science now calls the epigenetic triggers, 7 epigenetic triggers that allow us to awaken this extraordinary potential in our bodies that our ancestors called human divinity. Now, somewhere along the way, divinity got linked with religion and religious principles, and there are schools of divinity that do that, and they're good schools and good people, and they do good things. We're going to go beyond all that. In this one-day program, I'm going to lay out the comparative traditions from Middle Eastern traditions, from the Mesopotamian traditions, from the ancient unedited biblical records, from the traditions of the Gnostics that were hidden and destroyed by the early church and only recovered about 80 years ago in the deserts of Egypt and the best science of the modern world. And what we're going to find is that they're all telling the same story. And that story is about you, it's about me. And what it's saying is that we have this potential, and when it is awakened within us, this is the mind blow. When we awaken this extraordinary potential within us, our own natural biology meets, and in many cases, it exceeds potential and the capacity of the very technology we're being asked to replace ourselves with. Those technologies mimic what we already do, except we do it better. And that's what I'm excited to share with you. This program is called Pure Human. It is loosely based upon a book that I released in January of 2025 titled Pure Human. In that book, I had to stop with the research. I could not include all of the studies and all of the research, and certainly could not include the experiential components, how to apply those techniques in the written word. So Pure Human is a one-day program that I've designed for you. You need to know this right now, because between this year, right now, and the year 2030, there are forces, there are agendas, there are principles in place that are moving you and I to accept more and more technology into our bodies. How do you know what's right for you? How do you know how to make good choices, healthy choices for you and your family and those that you love and care about? I've designed this program specifically to answer those questions. This program has a beginning and an end. It's very visual, it's multimedia, it's fast moving. We're going to lay out those ancient concepts. I'm going to go into the best science of the modern world, and then we're going to leave all that knowledge behind because now it makes sense. We're going to go into the direct experience, learning the tools, techniques, and applications so that when you leave our one day together, when you leave, you're going to know yourself perhaps better than you've ever known yourself in the past. And you're going to be able to answer the deep question that is up for all of us right now. When we see the momentum to move us into this technological age, the question is, how do we preserve our humanness in this technological age? The answer to that question is all about love. And the question is simply this: do we love ourselves enough to accept the gift of the humanness, the human divinity that already lives within us? We don't have to work to achieve it. It's already here. Our job, our goal is to remove the programming and remove the lies. And when you take away the programming and the lies, all that's left is what's true. All that's left is your divinity. All that's left is your pure humanness. If this appeals to you, if it sounds like it's worth spending a day in a community of like-minded people who've always known that there's something more to us than what we've been led to believe, but haven't been able to quite put your finger on what that is, or maybe you have, and you haven't quite been able to bring it to bear upon the life that you're living right now, this program is for you. That's why I put this together. Click the link below this video that I'm sharing with you right now. Click that link. I want to thank you for sharing a little bit of your day with me today. I look forward to seeing you, Pure Human 2026.